Hey, Tommy, how you doing today?
Good morning, Dustin. I'm doing great.
It's an honor to be speaking with you.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. How's the weather up there in Mankato? I used to go up there a lot with my old friend Bobby V.
Yeah. It's warm, then it's cold, it's raining, it's ice. It's typical Minnesota weather.
Typical Minnesota weather, I know.
Well, Tommy, I'm excited to talk with you about the new book, From Cabbagetown to Tinseltown. You obviously have a lot of stories. You could probably write a couple more books. What made you decide to write it after all these years?
Well, I thought I'd better do it before it's too late. I've been thinking about this for years. I mean, it's not something that I just all of a sudden, decided to do. It's been kind of in the back of my mind for about 4 or 5 years, and finally I hooked up with Michael Krikorian, who's my co-writer, and I decided with Michael that we'd go ahead and pursue it, see if we couldn't get it out. And Michael was very helpful in helping me, because a lot of times it's hard to pull the things out, remember things, and he's the kind of guy that will just nudge you and nudge you and nudge you till he gets the memories working. And so it all fell into place, and we decided to get it out, and we're really excited about having the book out there, because it starts at my young childhood all the way up to today, and I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, and I know when you started out in the music business, it was really kind of a transitional period, I guess, in music itself. A lot of things were changing around that time.
Well, what I tried to do in the book, besides just doing an autobiography, is kind of parallel the music scene in the 60s and how it influenced our culture and our politics, and really how the music changed the world. I mean, with the British invasion, with the Beatles and all of this, music in the 60s was very influential in everything. It's style, dress, hairstyles, everything. It changed everything. So my book is not a sex, drugs, and rock and roll, so it might not appeal to those who want to read something about that. It's more or less paralleling history of the time with the music, and of course bringing in incidents of my life, things that have happened during my life.
Well, and you mentioned the Beatles. Not a lot of people can say that the Beatles opened for them, and then they opened for the Beatles. I know you were with them on their first U.S. tour. I got to imagine that must have been just like you see in the movies, crazy on stage and off.
Oh, my. Well, in 1963, I did my first tour in England, and Chris Montez were a featured act on this tour, and the Beatles were a featured act on our tour. We were the headliners. And, following the Beatles in 1963, it would be like, I love Bruce Springsteen and the East Street Band. I think they're the best rock and roll band ever. But following the Beatles in 1963 would be like Bruce Springsteen and his band following Elvis at his peak. It would be a hard act to follow.
Sure.
So that was a great experience. And then, of course, I kind of connected with Brian Epstein, and Brian invited me to open for the Beatles on their first American show in Washington, D.C. on February 11th, 1964.
Well, Tommy, I know that you kind of got stuck, maybe stuck's not the right word, but that moniker, King of Bubblegum, but you had so many rockin' tunes and kind of rockabilly sound. Did that bother you to have that moniker placed on you?
Well, at first it did, and I kind of ran away from it, but after a while I just kind of fell into it, and I was so successful with it, and I really created a new genre in music, because after Sweet Pea, you had Hanky Panky, you had so many Yummy, 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 Sugar, Sugar, all these records. And it was really because of the influence of Sweet Pea becoming such a big hit. So it turned out to work out very well for me. But today I wear that moniker proudly, and I enjoy playing the songs for my audience, and it seems to work for me even today.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely a testament to your talent, the fact that even when popular music was changing so much through the 60s and 70s, you were able to stay on top and be on the charts and kind of roll with the punches.
Yeah, being able to write my own material was the secret, really, because a lot of the artists that didn't write their own songs, they had a hard time staying in the charts, especially with the British invasion, Beatlemania, and all that was going on in the Billboard charts. The British acts kind of pushed all the American acts off the charts. And you had to really have a different sound to stay in there and compete with them. So that was my whole objective in writing what I called originally soft rock with Sweet Pea, and then, of course, it became bubblegum music. But being able to write those songs, Dizzy and Jam Up and Jelly Tight, Hooray for Hazel, all those songs, that was really the key for me, being able to write my own music.
Well, I know you mentioned you're a fan of Bruce Springsteen. Is there anyone else impressing you today in pop music, and what do you think of the landscape?
Yeah, there's some great acts out there. I love listening to college radio. You hear a lot of interesting stuff from the kids on college. That they have their radio stations on campus, and they play some interesting music, kind of alternative stuff. There's a songwriter I like that people aren't really aware of, but he's kind of a dark songwriter, but he's an incredible lyricist, and his name is Joe Henry. I enjoy his music a lot. And of course, I listen to classic rock most of the time. I still love the 60s and early 70s music, and so when I'm driving, that's what I listen to on the radio most of the time.
Well, and I know you're still out there touring and playing music. Is there anything maybe that you're working on now or something coming up?
Well, just the book. We're promoting the book. I'm real excited about having that out, and people can order the book on my website at TommyRowe.com, autographed copies at TommyRowe.com, and then, of course, it's on Amazon and the other books stores on the Internet. So we're promoting the book. I did an interesting thing a couple of weeks ago. I did a thing at Fresno State University and for the music department, and I talked about the book, and I did a little Q&A with the audience, and then I performed with the student band there. They rehearsed 6 of my songs, and that was really a lot of fun. They had a hard time with Dizzy. The chord changes in Dizzy are really it'll throw you off if you're not careful. So they had a hard time with that one, but that was a lot of fun for me, working with the student band and all the students there at the college campus. So I'm doing a lot of these type of venues promoting the book, and it's exciting for me for a different kind of feel.
Wonderful. Again, Tommy, the book From Cabbagetown to Tinseltown is out now. Looking forward to that, and it's been an absolute honor speaking with you today.
Thanks, Dustin. My pleasure, man.
All right, thank
Stay
you.
warm.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.